This is episode 17, being recorded on May 11th, 2020. As always, be sure to check out old episodes at nexuspodcast.com. Available on all major platforms: Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, all the good ones. And as always, you can join the conversation with hashtag Nexus Podcast and old video episodes at youtube.com/DJ Tyrant.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What should I say? The
I don't know.
Facebook group?
Yeah.
We have a Facebook group that I'm very haphazardly manning called the Nexus Podcast. If you want to look it up on Facebook. And I feel like we should record that introduction eventually because it's a lot to read off every week.
I know.
You do it so well.
I'll get something. Oh yeah, I'll record something.
Add some cool music or something. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, I have some music making software. I should do that.
Ooh. Maybe the DJ part of DJ Tyrant.
Exactly. There we go.
All right.
Yeah.
We have a lot.
We have a lot to go through, but as we like to do every week, we do like to talk about what we've been up to, what we've been playing, what we've been watching. As for myself, I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy VII Remake. Partially because Final Fantasy VII is like my favorite Final Fantasy game, and also I'm streaming it to raise money for St. Jude with the Charity Braves. There'll actually be a pretty big push on Monday, May 18th from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. Pacific. There's going to be some really fun incentive goals that will change how I play through the game, so make sure to tune in and check it out. It's going to be really cool. And thanks to Nelstar15 and Nayli for inviting me to the team. This is actually my first time doing a St. Jude's play live event, and it's really cool so far. I really like it. There's a lot of cool stuff.
So now, is it on a website that you can go to find this, or do you go on Twitch to find this? How would I search for this?
If you hit that follow button and follow me on Twitch, that's where it will be. Twitch.tv/DJ Tyrant. That's where I am. Or you're watching this very live stream.
So then if I wanted to, could I when you say incentive goals, I can totally harass you a little bit and you'd have to do things?
Yes, but they have to be done through donations to St. Jude.
Oh, smart. Smart. Do you guys take Venmo?
I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah, it looks like we lost Heather for a sec.
You did?
Yeah. There we go. You're back. You're back.
What did I do?
You're back. Just keep talking.
I'm talking. So my weekend geek is not that exciting. It was more Animal Crossing. I don't even know what I did. Oh, I paid off my house. That's what I did. And the entirety of it. And we have now invested in turnips. A fourth of my island is filled with turnips, and I'm praying I catch a good upcharge of those. And then, if anything, I've been just crafting, spinning yarn and catching up on Critical Role Season 2. I'm on episode 62, and I know they're at 100 almost. So I'm a little behind, but it's been kind of a chill week, and I've been enjoying it. Nothing too geeky other than that.
That's good. How many turnips did you buy?
A lot.
Like a couple full inventories worth, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
There was 3 of us that all chipped in on this. It took a while. I don't know. But it was a lot. Maybe. I don't know. I don't even want to throw numbers out there.
Okay.
I'm not good.
Yeah, I skipped on this week because I'm tired of having to do that. And
You have 6 million bells.
Yeah. It sounds like a lot, but then the crown comes around and I'm going to want to spend whatever 1.2 million bells on it.
Alex had the crown yesterday.
He had it?
He had it in his shop. I didn't know you needed it. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Oh, it'll come up again.
Okay, I'll let you know. Keep an eye out.
Sounds good.
That's my life.
There you go. That's your life. Animal Crossing. Well, let's get into the news of the week. It's actually been, even with everything going on, there's still been a lot of Blizzard news that we're able to cover. Starting with the big news, though, this is the rumor that just will not die. there is now a rumored Diablo 2 remaster or remake in the works titled Diablo 2 Resurrected. And
Hmm.
according to the rumors, it is under the direction of Vicarious Visions, actually, not Blizzard directly. Vicarious Visions is an Activision studio who did the PC ports of the Crash Bandicoot remaster and also Destiny 2. So they are familiar with making PC games. Um, and I'd really be interested to see if this is true and what they're going to
Yeah.
do. Is it going to be more like Starcraft remastered, which was kind of like it's the same game but really nice graphics, whereas Warcraft 3 remastered, I think they tried to do a little too much.
I don't know. I hope for the first one. I hope it's like a StarCraft happy remaster.
Yeah.
Because I never played the original Diablo games. So Diablo 3
Hmm.
is the only one I've ever played. And I remember trying to install the old ones, and it never really got to work on my computers back in the day. So I'd be excited to play a remaster.
Yeah.
And you know why it won't die, Jimmy?
Why?
It's a great joke. Because it's Diablo. He died.
It's
You're
true.
welcome. I
Oh,
thought of that
thank
at the
you.
very beginning. I'm like, I had to find that right moment to throw it in there.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh.
no,
Uh,
we'll see. I'm
but
excited if that's the case.
but off the back of that, if you're wanting to play the original Diablo, there is a version on GOG that plays
Oh,
nicely on modern PCs. So
that'll be fun.
yeah,
I want to do the pretty graphics.
doesn't
The pretty
everyone?
horrific, hellish fire graphics. Yes, I want those graphics.
Yeah,
I want that
there you
blood to
go.
look real, except not in China.
Oh my gosh. Oh man. But
Full
moving
circle.
moving on, today is actually a very fun anniversary for World of Warcraft.
Not
This
us.
the anniversary of Leroy Jenkins. That
Yep.
video getting uploaded to, I believe it was YouTube. Um
It was around back
and
then.
yeah. Um if you're not somehow not familiar with Leroy Jenkins,
Just
it's a
Google it.
just Google it
Yeah.
because at least I have chicken. Uh, no, but seriously, like I think people who didn't necessarily grow up in that time or were like really aware of it during that time don't realize how big of a cultural phenomenon it
It
was,
still is.
and it still is. Um, what's interesting is I'm going to show this on stream, but I actually met Leroy Jenkins himself at BlizzCon 2007.
Did
So
you?
yeah,
Was I with you?
I don't think you were with me. I was off
Uh,
doing something else.
did I take the picture?
I sure hope not, because this
See, that.
picture is so blurry.
Oh, okay, I didn't do
Exactly.
it. Those were the years where we never saw each other at BlizzCon. Like we would literally
Hmm.
separate and then meet up at
This was
night.
the year that we met up at the end, and sat and watched Warcraft 3 and then Brood War.
That was fun.
Yeah.
The good old days.
And there's that picture of you with that amp, I think.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
That was fun. I had braces. I was trying to cover that up. It
Yeah.
was fun. Uh,
But yeah,
no,
that
that's
was fun.
amazing. But then
And
apparently, Leroy Jenkins is coming back still currently in today's politics. As we were doing our notes for this, you literally said, "Is this a real article?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And lo and behold, published today, like 6 hours ago, CNN Politics published an article titled "How We Leroy Jenkins Up the Coronavirus Reopening." It's written by Chris Cizilla,
Saliza.
and sure, and it's an article, and it explains the first half of what Leroy Jenkins is. It's how you run it, you kind of mess things up, but then you like laugh about it in the end. But this went totally political, and he basically calls out the governor of Georgia, Brian Kemp. He called him Leroy Jenkins in that Georgia is against health experts and Trump saying it's not a good idea to reopen so early. Um, but he's still doing it anyways. And he made a very exact point at the end of the article. It says the point of this article is, quote, "So yeah, we Leroy Jenkins up the reopening of our country, except that the people involved in that video, Leroy Jenkins, later admitted it was all staged and fake. This reopening is all too real." Oh, Yeah.
So we're
Like,
full circle. Still talking about Leroy Jenkins.
still Blizzard news, still entertainment.
Yeah.
It's relevant. Um, but yeah, that was like we weren't expecting to have Blizzard news in the news
Hmm.
about stuff today. So that was on the anniversary especially. Um, that was entertaining. And I think it's what's that a Forrest Gump quote? That's all I had to say about that.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think we can move on from
It
there.
speaks for itself.
Yeah. The point
Yeah.
has been made.
And I'm not sure if we had talked about this last week, but
Mhm.
during the quarterly meeting for Activision Blizzard, they did talk about Shadowlands is still on track to
Okay, cool.
release in Q4 of 2020, which basically
We did.
means sometime between basically
Like
I think
November, December.
August, December ish, something like that.
Yeah. Should we pick a month and see who wins?
Oh, if we want to.
Yeah, let's see.
Okay. I'm opening up the Wowhead article because it tells us
Nice.
when all the expansions were, and so we can
Cheating,
kind
you
of
gotta
make.
pick a random
That's
month.
not cheating. We can see when the
I'm not
last expansions were released.
nerd. Just to pick a random month, then I win.
I'm gonna say September.
September. I'm gonna go November.
Okay.
Because I have no other basis for that guess other than just sheer intuition on that
Hmm.
month. I will win. Um, but yeah, I think we did mention that because it said quarter 4, and I need water.
But yeah,
Mm.
quarter 4 for Shadowlands. That means it won't be too much longer. But interestingly enough, there's actually a pretty good amount of World of Warcraft news for the current game and also Classic. I'm going to lead this off because I find this actually pretty interesting.
Mm.
Um, and I know purists will be upset about this, but it's actually a really good
Uh-oh.
addition to Classic WoW. They added Wargames into Classic WoW. Now, if you're not familiar with this, if you don't do a lot of PvP, this is
Nope.
basically like private lobbies or battlegrounds. So if you know a coordinated group that you want to play against, with your coordinated group, you can queue up
Okay.
a private lobby together. So instead of
Oh,
queuing up with random people,
yeah.
you'll be put in an instance with people you want to play specifically against.
And this is in classic only.
And well, this is in modern WoW, but they brought it over to classic.
Oh.
And interesting enough, some
Oh.
people were like worried that it was a bug, but Blizzard did confirm that this was intentional. And also, interestingly enough, or more um, poignant on classic WoW, is it
Hmm.
allows for Horde versus Horde and Alliance versus Alliance battlegrounds.
So if you're talking smack, you could be like, "Hey, let's go PvP it out right now."
Exactly.
That's fancy.
So yeah,
That
that's
builds
super cool.
camaraderie right there. Yeah.
Exactly.
Baron's chat becomes real. No, that's cool. That's good that they did that. Especially since you could do it in current WoW.
Hmm.
Um, let's see. Do you want to move on to the next one?
Yeah.
All right. So, and then in the WoW news, we also saw that Wired magazine did an interview with Ian Hazacustis. I said it wrong. Say it
Close
again.
enough. Close enough. Ian Hazacostas.
Thank you. Uh, Ian, and they had an interview with him, and it was kind of just a dialogue of how World of Warcraft's evolved with the internet. And Jimmy, would you say the internet has evolved over the years?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a little bit? Because
Can
so
you
has WoW.
can you imagine trying to work from home 15 years ago?
Oh my god. It would be awful. You wouldn't. You literally wouldn't. Oh, that'd be a
Uh,
nightmare. Don't do that
yeah,
to me.
sorry to put that little nightmare in the back of your mind.
Hey, I want to go to sleep tonight. So having to do conference calls instead of like Zoom meetings. Oh man,
Ooh,
no, thank you.
no.
Anyways, so WoW's evolved, and it was just kind of, as I said, like a dialogue, about how big WoW was as an MMORPG and how it was kind of like the landmark change for that genre. Um, and it was kind of a fun back and forth between back in the day where he even said, quote, that the reality is that everyone was playing World of Warcraft wrong. which is so true. To then now how people are like trained to min max everything they do. Like there's guides, there's tutorials of how to do it correctly, and you're not as forgiving.
Yeah, and I
Um,
think that's more apparent with the re-release of Classic, where Molten Core was cleared like very, very quickly.
within a few hours, I think.
It was at least a week, I think, because leveling takes significant
Oh yeah,
effort to get up there.
I heard about
But
that.
yeah, guilds were clearing it with like not even full parties of level 60s. They had like level 58s in there with them and stuff, which is kind of funny.
And then it talked about how like the good old days of like being in chat for like a half an hour looking for a shaman level 40. Um, excuse me. And then uh, and how gameplay was fantastically inefficient, and how you like have to run across a land and fly a path, and there was no real like productive way. Like now we have videos of how to level your character the fastest way possible, and the paths you have to take, and the add-ons and everything. And it was kind of like meditative back in the day, just to explore. Um, and then let's see, another fun part was it kind of talked about the idea and mindset and how questing now feels more like a means to an end than the end itself. And I was like, that is a good quote to kind of explain the difference of WoW back then to the now where WoW is currently. Um, so it's kind of a nice just conversation with, Ian about the game that we've all seen change. And it was nice. Just like, you don't get to chat with people a lot of the times at that, because especially, we're old and we're like, back in the day, remember when? You can't really say
Exactly.
that to
Yeah.
more new players.
Hmm.
But it was a fun article, and it came
Yeah.
out just the other day.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting that I feel like we're seeing more of these, or I don't know if we're more
We're old.
hyper aware of these with being
Conversation.
stuck inside and everything.
Well, I think the sad part is like we're not going to get a chance to. Well, I'm knocking on wood. We may not get a chance to do that in person. Like that's part of the fun about going to BlizzCon in person, or these conventions, is to literally reminisce about remember when, um, with people. And so it's nice to have at least interviews where they talk about that, because these people that make the game are fans of the game, and so they all have
Hmm.
their remember when stories. Let's see what next.
We have some in-game events for current WoW to talk
Hmm.
about. There is the Balloon Festival, which I've actually never done, so I might check this out. May 10th through 12th. So if
I
you're
did
listening
one.
live, you have tomorrow. Hopefully this hits the recording before this ends, but if not, well, you gotta wait till next year, I think.
You sit in a hot air balloon and you listen to stories.
Pretty much.
You get to enjoy the beautiful scenery. Yeah, I did it in Pandaria once. It was really pretty.
Oh,
But then
cool.
I got bored.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to do it yet. It's kind of the double edged sword of these
Micro
micro
holidays.
holidays. Is it's nice when you know about them, but then like all of a sudden it's like, oh, well,
You missed
now
it.
it's I miss it and have to wait a year, which seems to be every other year. I forget about the Pirate Day in WoW,
There's
and
a pirate day.
yeah, it's
Wow.
like in November or October or something. I don't know, and it's a 1 day thing, so it's very
Oh,
quick. Uh, but stuff that's a little longer than 1 day, the weekly quests or weekly quests that you can get is the arena skirmish for this week, May 12th through the 19th. So if you're wanting to do some arena, you can get some extra rewards for that. Good times all around. And then we wanted to kind of speak ahead to another micro holiday, the Glow Cap Festival on May 27th. Um, where you head to Sporgar in Zangermarsh to collect some rare mushrooms and help the sporlings heal the great mushroom Vashu. You'll
for
you'll
sure.
and this is actually a really good way to build up that Sporgar rep if you uh, didn't play during Burning Crusade, or there's just one of those rep rewards you're looking for. This is actually a really good event to do that with.
I'm looking at, I remember thinking, we were talking about the micro holidays just now. how it would be nice to have like an app or something to remind you of them. And I remember like last year, the Blizzard or World of Warcraft Instagram account used to do this week in World of Warcraft Insta stories. And I remember seeing that thinking, oh, well, that's in my Insta feed. Like, I'll check it out. So I went to their account and they don't do it anymore.
No,
Or at
they
least I
haven't done
didn't
that in a
see it.
while.
It's so convenient. Like, they should have an app or something that sends you notifications or something.
Too
I'm being
bad.
sarcastic.
Too bad they don't have a Warcraft app already on phones.
On your phone?
Yeah.
Because we have phone. I'm sorry. I couldn't
Okay.
resist.
Um. But continuing on the reputation stuff, the 100% bonus buff for reputations from Legion and from all the reps in Battle for Azeroth up to 8.3 reps. There's a 100% ref bonus going on right now. It is going away on May 18th. So if you are wanting to unlock your flying in BFA, like both of us, got to get this done this week.
I'm not prepared. I have not done it. It's gone by so
I
quickly.
know. I finished my Najatar rep, but I need to do my Mechagon rep.
I haven't even finished that zone yet. And it's like I started it.
Yeah,
I'm so
I
bad.
don't think I finished it either. But
Mm-mm.
anyways, that is coming up for those of you that are wanting to do that.
Yeah, you got a week left.
Yep.
Because then it's my birthday. Um, Moving to Warcraft 3, there's some news. No, there isn't. There's no news for Warcraft 3.
Yeah, no news for Warcraft 3. Hopefully, we'll have some news about some of the DreamHack stuff. Maybe they'll move that online, but we'll see.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, DreamHack did commit to doing events for Warcraft 3, but I haven't heard anything recently ever since DreamHack Anaheim.
No idea. That's a good point.
Yeah, maybe I'll bug
And
some
I'm on their
people.
email list. I haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
But the game, the game that keeps on giving, Overwatch and Overwatch League, there is just a metric ton of news this week. We have another developer update. We just talked about one last week. We have a brand new one from Jeff Kaplan.
From his phone.
Looking like he's doing that stay-at-home
Beard.
see how long you can make your beard.
And I was alarmed by how impressive that beard was. But then it grew on me. Like I got used to the white and I kind of like it.
Yeah, no, it looks good on him. But diving into the developer update, there are a lot of main points that Jeff did go over. The open competitive queue that has been in arcades for the past month or so. They're taking it down. It's down right now, but they're bringing it back up for a short season. And then it'll actually become a permanent fixture in season 23. So when you hit the queue competitive, you can choose between role queue and the open competitive queue. And what was really interesting is they have a lot of stats that they went over with this. And apparently in Korea, it is the second highest played mode across all modes.
Yeah. Like super popular. And they were even like, we're surprised how popular this was.
And in North America, it's like really low. It's below like Mystery Heroes. So
yeah, and that surprises me too because you think like Overwatch is just a first-person shooter type of thing, but then like when he's not rambling, but like explaining all this and what they're doing and how it's going to change, I'm sitting here and I'm like, how did this game get so complicated? It literally blows me away every time. There's so much to this game when you just run around and shoot people.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool effects.
What's interesting though, also as well, from their data on having this mode in arcade, was they've seen that this should actually improve queue times for both roll lock, also known as 222, and the open queue. So TPS players rejoice. We won't have to sit in 10-minute queues hopefully anymore.
Oh yay! But then that'll force me to play a tank.
You don't have to. If you go into roll queue, play whatever you want.
That's true.
But they will still be balancing the game around 222. And speaking of balance, Jeff mentioned that they are buffing Mercy, Zenyatta, Bastion, and Junkrat. So I'm really excited to see what those changes are, especially on Mercy. Mercy is probably my favorite support,
Yeah, she's
or
pretty.
second favorite maybe. Um, and Moria and Ana are getting nerfs. From what it sounds like, Moria has kind of been in this kind of awkward space for a while where she feels really, really powerful. Um, they'll have to be careful to adjust her correctly to make her not garbage, to
Well,
put
because
it
she can
lightly.
do both.
Yeah.
That's like the bigger thing.
Well, and that's the thing with Zenyatta as well. He's actually a really high damage dealer, and this is what we saw um, in season 1 of Overwatch League. That's why Jay Jonak was MVP of the league, was because he just dominated on Zenyatta.
Really?
Yeah. But I think if I remember what Jeff said, that they're reverting the change they made to the Discord orb. So Discord orb is the ability you put on
Hmm.
enemy players, and they take a higher percentage damage than normal. I think they're putting that back to where it was basically in season 1 of Overwatch League. So that'll
Oh, really?
be,
They're like, just
yeah,
undo it all.
yeah, that'll be interesting. And these balance changes will be in the experimental card, so they should be live either tomorrow or sometime this week, so people can check that out.
And that's just kind of like a Q&A process for them, right? The experimental card.
Well, it's a playable mode in the game, and that's how they're able to get a lot more data on it versus the PTR. Because instead of having to
Okay.
download it a separate client, everyone can
And
just
not
play it.
progression.
Yeah, everyone can just play
Okay.
it in the current game, and this also allows console players to be able to participate in these changes as well.
Okay. All right. So then, and then it was interesting because before we went on our note binge here, um, I found a video talking about a community Q&A that Jeff Kaplan and the community managers did with a bunch of content creators on Discord. I don't know when, probably within the last week or so.
It's definitely been the
Um,
last week, yeah.
yeah. And it was a bunch of like information. So I'm gonna try and like keep it concise because the video that talked about it with the content creator, oh, I found it from a YouTube channel called Your Overwatch, Your
Yeah,
Overwatch.
I watched that video I think this weekend too.
And it was a really nice like one person discussion about what was discussed.
Hmm.
Um because it was interesting because he was kind of explaining what the Discord chat was like and then giving his rationale behind it. So I was like, it was really informative because it wasn't just Q&A, reading on a forum. Um, so let's see. He talked about the first thing was that there's going to be a balance, or they're trying to balance the support characters buffing and nerfing, which I think is what you mentioned about Moira and Anna getting nerfed and Mercy and them getting buffed. Let's see. Overwatch team at this time is not interested in doing hero bans. They says that they believe that they don't believe it's gonna fix the problems that players think it will. But then they also kind of said at this time we're not interested. So it's not like an absolute no, but it's kind of like not right now.
Yeah, I know there's a pretty strong contingent of the community that really would like that to be a thing. I'm
Yeah.
kind of against it because it just adds a lot more overhead time to the games. Like, it makes sense for MOBAs because of just the vast amount of heroes that are available in those style of games. What?
It's the most boring thing to watch. I
It
hated that part.
That's like kind of the best part of MOBAs for people who play them, because there's all this like mind game strategy going on.
I
Um,
know. You would take notes on some of the Heroes of the Storm events of like what the
oh
bans
yeah,
were.
oh
It was
yeah.
adorable.
No, it was great.
um, sorry, I interrupted you. Did you want to finish that idea?
No, no, keep going.
Okay. Let's see. They do believe the hero team thinks that hero pools are successful so far in keeping the meta fresh. Any opinions?
I would agree. I think they could tool around with how long the
The
hero
length of them?
pools are. I think they could be a little bit lengthier to give a little
Or
bit
meta?
more room for meta to form, because right now they're only a week,
Yeah.
which is really fast. And I know for Overwatch League teams, it's a little tough to kind of figure things out. And really, what's interesting, if you watch Overwatch League, you see that there's literally two separate metas because of the regions. Like the Asian
Oh
teams
yeah.
all play against each other, and they figure out a certain way of playing, and then all the other teams are playing against each other in scrims, and they figure out a different way of playing, and so you see two different sets of metas throughout the games in Overwatch League. So that's actually kind of cool, but I also would like to see them
If
give
not
a
much
little
more.
bit more length to it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let's see. And then there was a question from the community where it led to, is there going to be a type of ladder or pug system like rep or teams? And the team said that they liked the idea. The Overwatch team liked the idea, and that they were even talking about some clan-based ideas. Does this make sense to you?
Yeah, I mean, clans have always been a thing in kind of Blizzard games, and I'm surprised that they haven't kind of put some sort of implementation into Overwatch for it.
What does
Um,
that mean to have a clan in the game? Like a
right,
guild?
similar like a guild in World of Warcraft, where it's people you play with normally or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, and usually they're just tools to um have events in game or whatever, or calendar in game, so you're able to coordinate stuff together.
It's like an Outlook calendar type of thing in a game?
Yeah, you haven't seen that in WoW?
Oh, yeah. Okay. That is a thing. You're right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Next thing was they asked if they were talking about smurfing and if the idea of maybe using phone verification was happening. And the Overwatch team said they hate the smurfing. Explain that to me in 5 seconds. And they can't share how they want to solve it because it's complicated and they don't want to release too many secrets. And they said it's extra difficult because of the console system as well. What the heck is smurfing?
Smurfing generally is a high level player who's tired of playing against good people and creates a second account to dunk on people in the lower leagues.
Oh,
It's awful. I've run
is that
into
like
it a few
twinking?
times. What?
Is that like twinking a character in PvP?
No, I wouldn't say that.
Okay, but that
Because
sucks.
twinking's like a legitimate strategy.
But then, okay, the question is, how would phone verification help that?
You would only be allowed to have like one account,
Oh,
probably.
so then if you really wanted to smurf, air quotes, you would have to have like a secondary Overwatch account, BattleNet game purchase,
Yes.
like, box it or something like that, whatever that phrase is.
What was that again?
Remember, like in WoW, like if you wanted to have like to grind gold, or you'd have like two WoW accounts on
Yes.
two separate computers. So if you wanted to do this in WoW and Overwatch, you would have to have like two separate accounts, two separate consoles, all that jazz.
Yes.
That's a lot of work. Okay.
No, it's not. I have a Smurf account.
What?
Yep.
Why?
Because it was fun in Heroes.
Oh, okay. um, okay, so then the next one was a question about the cosmetics in Overwatch. And they just kind of shared with the community that they're typically planned a year in advance, which is not a surprise. And they hinted at a Mercy skin dealing with light and dark, like night and day. I don't know, but they were hinting.
That's
And the anniversary
interesting.
is coming up.
I would think that this is hinting towards a skin that will be coming out in a couple of weeks with the new
An anniversary or
anniversary
something?
event.
Something
Um,
like that.
yeah. I'm always for new Mercy skins, even though I will always rock the pink Mercy skin
The
for
breast cancer
a
one?
long time. Yeah, breast cancer
Yeah,
one.
it's a good
Um,
one.
yeah. Probably just little hints from Jeff about the
Yeah.
anniversary event coming up.
Half the fun
Um,
is to like dangle that carrot just a little bit and like, hey, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I
exactly.
told you, but you didn't know. Um, Next thing was a question asked to the team was, what is the biggest misconception that people have of Blizzard or I guess Overwatch team? And it was basically the idea that their response was People think that Blizzard make casual games, but we focus on games that are hardcore that require skill, but approachable to new players. Okay.
I mean, that's kind of always been the
Yeah.
philosophy of Blizzard.
MO.
Um, Easy to play,
Easy to
difficult to
learn.
master. Easy to
Yeah.
learn, difficult to master. Yeah,
Yeah. Isn't that on a plaque or something?
there's something like that on
Yeah.
one of the things.
Well, I think especially they got like a lot of heat over like the whole MOBA game, not MOBA, mobile game fiasco type of thing. And it's like, no, it's there's a lot more to it than just that.
Hmm.
Have some faith, even though a lot of people are all over the place. Um, Next part was they asked the team if they were happy with the endorsement system in Overwatch League or Overwatch. They said that they're kind of happy they got it in, but there's a few things that they want to kind of edit or change specifically. They mentioned shot caller and good teammate are not really specific enough to like endorse someone that people just randomly throw it at them and there's not much meaning behind it, which I totally agree.
There really is no meaning behind it. I just throw
Yeah,
whatever at my
it's not
teammates if we have a good game, or if I'm
exactly.
feeling spiteful, I go endorse the enemy team.
Yeah, me too. Um, so it's something that they want to work on. Um, let's see. Another question was, is there anything you wish you could have done differently? And they said that the release frequency of the heroes was great for the first year, which is awesome. But then they did specify that Overwatch is not a MOBA, and that our players want more from these characters, and they kind of brought it back to the idea that they want quality characters versus quantity, which I completely agree. Um, let's see. They also talked about roles being more defined, and the community members said that they've had difficulties with DPS in particular, trying to categorize them and the other factors such as Hammond. That's the hamster, right?
Yep.
Okay. And they were trying to like there was some heated arguments in the Overwatch team about where Hammond fit in. And they definitely want to have more defined roles and not just extra DPS all over the place, which I think is awesome. Let's see.
It is, but
And
it
then
slightly goes against what they just did in bringing Echo. It is a DPS character,
and she does everything.
and she does everything. Yeah.
It's true. But maybe she's like the catch-all. Like this is like the last one that does everything, and then the rest of them would be very specific. I feel like they said the same thing for Heroes of the Storm too.
Hmm. Oh yeah.
Because they even added like a new class, right? The hero class in that game.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. There was a lull moment in the interview, and someone asked Jeff Kaplan, was there anything in the game that they wish made it in? And they specifically talked about Lucio's slow ult. And apparently, Jeff Kaplan in all caps said, no, that slow ultimate was an abomination to society and the worst thing we ever did. So, not a fan of the slow ult for Lucio.
What's interesting about that is I think that made it into the Heroes of the Storm implementation of Licio. I think they've changed
Oh,
it
yeah.
since then, but yeah, they had a slow, I believe. Or he still might. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I played Lucio in Heroes.
Yeah. So that was like a pretty funny moment in the discussion. We have like two more questions. And the question was, how has Overwatch evolved over time and the core designs of the game? And this one, I copied the text verbatim from what the video had said because it covered a lot of information. Um, the Overwatch team said that they have a good game, or to have a good game, it has to have a good core vision. With a live game, though, you have to adapt to the player base. Yes. The players know much more about this game now than they did 4 years ago. So it'd be silly not to adapt to that. Such as hero and role limits were right when they were first implemented. Uh, I'm assuming not so much right now. Is that correct?
There's a lot of complaints about it. That's all
Okay.
I'll say.
And you're so like neutral. And then the vision of the game is they wanted to maintain the vision of the game, which is a highly competitive first-person shooter with amazing epic graphics and diverse heroes in a future version of Earth, which is a lot of vision of a game.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of words.
It is.
Um, but it sticks to the truth of it though. Let's see. And then they they asked about competitive plans for Overwatch and the vision of high-level Overwatch. And the Overwatch team just basically said that they want to keep the game epic, have over-top abilities, first-in-class FPS mechanics, and hero diversity and teamwork. So it seems like they still just kind of want to keep to the core values and not stray from that. Um, what that means for competitive and a high level of Overwatch, I don't know. We still have another game coming out.
Yeah, it's
Um,
purposely vague.
yeah, and they were told in the Q&A that they were not allowed to ask. Oh, I cannot say the word ask um about the next game coming out or any future plans beyond just general
Mm-hmm.
questions. So a lot of these questions were like biggest misconception, what do you think about this? Opinion-based questions.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of, good Q&A questions that were nice to hear from like the team or the community managers and Jeff Kaplan all in like a chat.
Yeah, no, I think it's good. It's a good olive branch to the community because I don't know the past few months of Overwatch community have been kind of angry. I feel like I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think things are going in a good direction. Um, I still enjoy playing the game.
Yeah, it's always fun. My brother plays it and I enjoy watching people play it and
Mm-hmm.
Owl's back, which is exciting.
Yeah,
Um
it
and their
has
anniversary's coming up, so they gotta, get that community involvement.
lots of stuff, but we haven't even touched the Overwatch League news, which there is a ton this week. We
I'm
had
just gonna start digging.
so
Have fun.
much happen.
Hmm.
Following in the footsteps of Sinatra, Corey, DPS player for the Washington Justice, retired from Overwatch to play Valorant. This doesn't surprise me too much. We are going to see, I think, some of the higher end DPS players move over to Valorant, where their skill will shine a little bit more. Because
How?
going back onto that what Jeff was talking about, teamwork is always been a part of the philosophy of Overwatch. Um,
Teamwork's the dream work.
and so that
Sorry.
means you need to have a team that works well together. Um, and those superstars can't necessarily pop off as much as they would in a CSGO style game.
But it's a game that's in beta.
It is, but it's also a game done by Riot, who has supported League of Legends in that esports scene for how many years now?
True, that's true. A lot. But
That
then it's like
that and
fun
also
stuff.
getting into the ground floor of an
A
esport
new
like that
game,
is kind
like
of
history
yeah.
making.
You can be history making. You can also get those first contracts.
Yeah, yeah. And is it good in a way that they're pulling? Like, is it a compliment to Owl in that professional players are being pulled from them? Like, if you have a really good sports team, because I know sports,
Hmm.
and you want to pull those VIP players into your team, like you will poach them type of thing. Is this kind of like a somewhat compliment to Owl?
I think so a little
Should I
bit,
spin it
but
that
you
way?
you can spin it that way, but you can also look at it from the negative side, and that Overwatch isn't offering enough for these players to stick around. Um, because both
Well, sometimes that happens. Like, we can't control the pandemic.
I know, because both Corey and Sinatra won World
Mhm.
Cup last year, so they kind of got to go out on top.
Yeah. Didn't like some StarCraft players do that? Like once they peaked, they're like, we're done, we're retiring.
Yeah, no, we've seen that happen on in multiple esports.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
but
so funny to hear them retire that word.
if you haven't heard the news, Washington Justice
Mm.
fans, brace yourself because you're losing another DPS player.
What?
Stratus is retiring from the Washington Justice. Well, from professional Overwatch play to do content creation. He's still going to be a part of the Washington Justice, but he's
Okay.
stepping away from the competitive scene. And he played his last game this weekend.
Now, was he like a vital player, or is he just kind of like one of like the base players that was like, okay, I'm cool, guys, keep doing it. I'm stepping back, or
I would say he was a top DPS player. Like most teams probably would have liked to have had him on
I
their
would love
team.
to be privy to that conversation, but that's like a private conversation with
I'm curious if it's just the stress of playing Overwatch League,
absolutely.
because many players have um, stepped back and done more streaming content creation.
Mhm.
Most notably, Seagull from season one. Um, and he was a fan favorite and everything. Everyone loved him, but he was
Mhm.
just like, it's way too stressful.
Yeah, it's like any sports player. Like I always feel like bad for them. Like this one game is their final exam of like a test of their career. It's
Hmm.
insane. Yeah, and if they're young kids, like if I could have the more fun end of it, if content creation and like be part of the team still in a way, like that'd be awesome.
And Stratus will be really good for content creation, not just streaming stuff, but like I'm sure he could do some funny YouTube videos because he has a really fun personality. Just based on the interviews that he's done, he's always one of those goofy players that comes out with wearing sunglasses
On the
and
mic
all stuff like that. And yeah,
or the cheers on the mic.
yeah. Oh, and I didn't put this in the notes, but this was actually
Mhm.
really cool to see. I think I follow all the Overwatch League teams on like Facebook. But his grandmother and mother commented on the justice's post about this, and it was very sweet. I don't remember exactly what
Oh,
they said, but it was very cool to see um, parents and grandparents supporting
they're
their
baby.
baby.
Oh, they're so proud. It's like the
Yeah,
student. It's like a student of the month sticker on their car.
yeah,
That's my babe.
yep.
I love it.
Um, Another player though
Oh my
retiring,
god.
completely leaving the Overwatch, just Overwatch in general. Gray from the Paris Eternal is
Chicken.
leaving Overwatch. Yes, the chickens of
Love it.
Overwatch. He
That's
also
cute.
stated some, I think, stress issues.
Yeah,
Um,
that sucks.
yeah, he said his mental health was hard tanking and the change was necessary.
Necessary.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's sad too because it looks like he's just taking a complete, not even a back seat, but just a complete off the train completely. Um,
yeah,
which is heartbreaking because it is a lot of pressure and stress, and it's like when you deal with contracts and teams and this much amount of money and expectations, um, it's a lot of difficulty, and I feel for people that have to go like, and I jokingly say like another one like annoyed, but no, honestly, I can never expect to understand what they're going through, and if they need to take a break, then take it because you do you first.
yeah. Speaking of taking breaks, another player is taking a break. Rio
You.
Jeong. He played on the Seoul Dynasty last year. And there was that really, I don't know. It was awkward, but like poignant as well, where they interviewed the Seoul Dynasty after they got knocked out of the playoffs.
Mhm.
And he and one of the other players on the Seoul Dynasty were very, very emotional. Talking about their
Oh.
loss, they were very sad because Seoul Dynasty from day one that they were announced have kind of been expected to be one of the best teams in Overwatch League, and I think they
Mhm.
held themselves to that standard. Not reaching that really um, hurt them. But he did actually move to the Vancouver Titans in the
Mhm.
offseason. And the reason he's taking a break is because the Vancouver Titans. We talked about this last week, and we
Wait.
speculated that this was happening, but they released their entire team. So that is the end of the team runaway from Overwatch contenders in Korea. This is the end of the line for that team, and it's a very dramatic story. There's a lot of opinions on what should or shouldn't have been done, but they're starting the team over with a brand new team. They basically bought out a contenders team, second win, and they played this weekend, so they had to they had to field some sort of roster this weekend, and they got this team.
So
It
time out, hold on a second.
Yes,
They literally mulliganed all their
yes,
players.
yes.
Wow.
We have
That actually did happen.
No, we've never seen this happen in esports
Mhm.
during a season. We see it
Yes.
happen all the time after like the international for Dota. We'll see teams
Yeah.
completely restructure.
Yeah.
Totally understandable.
At the end
But
of the season.
in the middle of the season, it is crazy.
Unheard of?
Um, crazy unheard of.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That is
there's a lot of background on this, a lot of kind of he said, they said type stuff.
mm,
It's a lot. And the official kind of announcement from the Vancouver Titans definitely leaves a little more to be desired. Um, but we'll
and they
see.
haven't said anything publicly, like really other than this is happening, right?
They kind of talked about it, and then there was this weird like fluff piece I read on some Vancouver newspaper that was kind of like telling the story from the side of the organization, and it
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh, the poor organization got screwed over, blah 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 blah. Like it's not good.
Now, do you think this came, and I know there's like a lot of opinions, and you were saying that there's a bunch of stuff that we don't know, but do you think this kind of happened not by player choice, but by ownership choice?
I think it was ownership choice. Yeah, I think they.
Heartening to see.
It's really disheartening to see because they had one of the best teams in Overwatch League.
Yeah,
They came up second place last season and couldn't somehow keep that team together, which is mind blowing to me. Um,
yeah.
like if they had just kept that team together, they would have been. I think they would have been fine.
But didn't a
Um,
lot of them like switch to other teams?
um, not really. They didn't have a whole lot of changes over the offseason. They did release um bumper and added gesture,
Mm-hmm.
which was kind of a weird choice, but Gesture is
Yeah.
a really good tank player. And what's interesting about Gesture, just to give a very TLDR on his history,
We're going deep. I'm
um,
sorry.
basically every team he's been on has been all sorts of drama that stemmed around him. Um, he was first on Soul Dynasty, and there was a bunch of drama there. He demanded a trade. He ended up on the Gladiators, and then there was like something with he didn't want to play in the playoffs for some reason. He like refused to play, and so they had to play in the playoffs in season 1 without him. And so obviously they released him after that. Like
So could you say he's a little bit of a diva?
it seems like it. But what's interesting about this is there's no like talk that any of this was his fault. Like he's an innocent
Oh.
bystander in all of this.
Normally they're like first to say, "Hey, he declared this,
Yeah.
so we had to," but here it's like because he's MIA.
Yeah, it's just funny because we
Wow,
expected him to be
involved.
a, a troublemaker, I guess, to really
Oh,
say. Um, but yeah, I mean, lots. This isn't even talking about the games this weekend yet, but
oh my God.
we'll very quickly go through those. But first of all, the May 10th hero bands did come out for this is for Masters and above in a competitive and the Overwatch League. We're going to see May, Tracer, Ariza, and Moria unavailable for play. So very interesting
All
there.
the girls. What the heck?
Yeah, there you go. Boston Uprising also added a player this week. They added Punk, who's a DPS player from Contenders, part of the Uprising Academy team, so homegrown player. He also played for Team Australia in World Cup. Hopefully,
Oh,
this will be part of the turn for the Boston Uprising because Boston just has not looked good all season,
no.
and I don't know how to like not overstate that. They are like really bad this season.
Have they won any games
They've
yet?
won one game, but
That's good.
but they look worse than the Shanghai Dragons did season 1. And the Shanghai Dragons went 0-40.
How does one look worse than that if they
Like
won
the
one?
Shanghai Dragons had close series in season 1.
That's true.
Boston series have not been close at all.
Are they a new team this year?
No, they were one of the original teams.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I could talk for a long time about why I think Boston is bad, but we'll continue
I
on.
just wonder if we
Uh,
should have like an owl sing off like podcast just
oh my
talking about all this
gosh.
stuff.
Maybe we
But
could
then
have a
not every
special
week
for
is
that.
like this full.
Yeah, not every week is this
Yeah,
crazy. I don't know
it's
why.
been crazy.
The news, just lots of news. This is going to be a long episode, folks. We're not even halfway
Oh
done.
my god, really?
No, I don't know. I'm just making that up. We're probably like 3/4 of the way done. Anyways, very quickly, results from week 14. We saw the Seoul Dynasty win 3-2 over the Shanghai Dragons. Probably the biggest surprise of the week. Shanghai has been nearly perfect this season. And
Mhm.
Seoul has like been very inconsistent, but they did well enough to beat Shanghai. London Spitfire 3-0'd the Chengdu Hunters. Guangzhou Charge 3-1 NYXL. So that tells me that the Asian teams are all very close to each other in terms of like how good they are, because they're all kind of beating each other. No one's really the top dog anymore. But yeah, moving over to the other regions, Paris Eternal beat the Gladiators 3-1.
Boo.
I know. Sorry. Washington Justice 3-1 over the brand new Vancouver Titans. Titans
All
actually
that
looked
jump
decent in that
uh,
series um,
with the whole new team.
with the whole new team. But apparently two of their players were playing from like Europe, so they had like 200 ping. So that's challenging.
That's a factor.
Yeah. Atlanta Reign 3-0'd the Houston Outlaws. LA Valiant 3-0'd the Boston Uprising. And then the Shanghai Dragons 3-0'd the Hangzhou Spark. Guangzhou Charge 3-1'd London Spitfire. Philadelphia Fusion 3-1 Dallas Fuel. And then San Francisco Shock 3-1 Toronto Defiant. And then the Florida Mayhem 3-0'd the Vancouver Titans. Yeah.
How many days was this? 2 days? It was over the weekend.
Those 2 days. And
Oh.
interestingly enough,
Mm.
um the interesting part about that is this is the first week we've had every single team play um in 1 week
Since the pandemic started,
this
right?
season. Yeah. Well, just
Yeah.
this whole season in general.
Oh, you're right,
Yeah.
because it started at the beginning.
But
Yeah.
really quickly, coming up this weekend, we have Seoul Dynasty against Chengdu Hunters, London Spitfire and playing up against the Shanghai Dragons, NYXL against the Hangzhou Spark, and then on the other region, we have Vancouver Titans against Houston Outlaws, Florida Mayhem against the Washington Justice, the Gladiators against the Boston Uprising, San Francisco Shock versus the Reign, and then Sunday we have Guangzhou Charge versus Chengdu Hunters, Hangzhou Spark versus the London Spitfire, Dallas Fuel versus Paris Eternal, Philadelphia Fusion versus Vancouver Titans, and Toronto Defiant versus the LA Valiant. So there is a lot of stuff there.
How does that mouth feel after reading all that?
Whew. Yeah, tiring. Oh my gosh.
I was like, "Do you really want to read it all on screen?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'll read it." Like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, we're just gonna do it.
it's all sports. Let's see. Are we done with Overwatch?
We are done with Overwatch finally.
Wow, that was like a whole 2 pages
Yep.
of all text. All right, moving on to the Diablo. What did we find in Diablo, Jimmy?
We did find that
By we, I
apparently
mean Wowhead.
all the people who monitor the CDNs of Blizzard found a encrypted build for Project Fenris, which is the code name for Diablo 4. Mostly we think that this is probably due to people working from home so that they're able to, access the game without being on the VPN to test stuff. But yeah, that is the only thing really Diablo wise this week.
Yeah, cool. Codes.
Yep.
And then, moving on to the Starcraft.
Yeah. In Starcraft, there's some actually cool sales that I found out for digital items. War Chest 1 through 5 and the Carbot Complete bundle for Starcraft 2 are on sale between 19 to 50% off. These are all cosmetics. If you've been waiting to get those or haven't gotten those yet, those are on sale. So definitely check those out. And in the world of esports, 2020 GSL Season 1 is in the middle of its round of 16. We did have Group A, where Dark and Deer advanced, with Scarlet and Tasia being knocked out of the tournament. So that ends Scarlet's run in the foreign hope for GSL for this season.
Hmm. How many people are competing in this GSL?
32. It starts with 32.
Okay.
And
One
then
rule them all.
yeah. And then at Group B, we had Cure and TY advanced over Stats and Solar. And then if you're wanting to check this out, we have Group C coming up on the 13th at the lovely time of 2:30 in the morning Pacific, with Group C, Trap, Bunny, Parting, and Sue. Those should all be really great games. Those are all people who have been in the Starcraft scene for a long time. So definitely check that out. But in a little bit more friendly time, on Friday the 15th at 9 p.m. Pacific, we have Group D with Morrow, Ragnarok, Innovation, and Zest. So lots of StarCraft this weekend. Also, TSL 5 starts this weekend on the 16th.
Ooh.
So if you're interested in that, that'll be awesome. It's been a long time since we've had a TSL. I think TSL 4 was like 2012, 2013, something. Yeah, that's how long it's been.
So why is it coming back now?
So this was actually put together because of the COVID-19 stuff. And DreamHack had to put on events, so they're partnering with Team Liquid to throw this together.
I remember this conversation.
And pay special attention this weekend because Day 9 will be casting one day only, Sunday, May 17th. I don't know how long it's been since Day 9 has cast StarCraft, but definitely.
Is Brother working the other events for GSL? Like, is Tastosis still doing their thing?
Yeah, they're casting GSL.
Yeah.
So I mean, that would just be a really odd time for him to cast this event. I mean, I'm sure he's done this stuff before, but he's kind of set that he doesn't need to do these other non-Korean events. But speaking of Tasteless, I've actually been catching him playing StarCraft Remastered. He's been playing a lot lately on stream, so definitely check out his stream if you're interested in checking it out.
The old school days of these players. That's fun. It's always nice to see them like still doing their thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's see.
Yeah, moving on to Heroes of the Storm, though. There is a lot of stuff this week, like I said. This is just 1 week. There was a pretty large balance patch that came out last week. Changes onto Hanamura, increasing the objective damage, and huge reworks on both Cassia and Tracer. The Nexus Anomaly was also changed as well for this season. Nexus Anomaly is this thing they implemented last season, I think. Basically to change the fundamental function of the game to kind of try stuff out. Basically, with this, they made it so that towers, forts, and keeps would prioritize targeting heroes over minions. So this is kind of how League of Legends operates. And it really changes your strategy on if you're able to dive a hero that's under a tower or something like that. But they are changing this a bit more. They reduce the damage by 10% of all those structures, and they will only focus their attacks on enemy heroes if they attack an allied hero who's also in their range. And also self-damage from heroes will no longer cause the structures to focus them, and also periodic damage will not cause structures to focus heroes. So they'll be a little bit less aggressive in attacking heroes. Which I think will make it feel a little bit better and more in line with kind of how Heroes has always felt.
Yeah. It's a literal balance of the two options.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely check out the patch notes because there is a ton of changes for other heroes as well. Not just Cassia and Tracer. If I was doing Heroes Power, we'd go line by line on this and talk about the changes.
We
But
would.
we will not be doing that here. Go check them out if you're interested. There's a lot to read and go over. But yeah, definitely
Yep.
check that out.
And then on to Hearthstone. Another patch came out on the 12th, which is today. And basically, the gist was that there are 3 new heroes and a new minion for Battlegrounds. They've also added the ability to rearrange the decks in your game, and a new visual aid for end of season rewards. So, do you want to go through the heroes that we're adding, or do you want me to cover that?
Yeah, I can go through that. Lady Vash, who will also have a interesting passive where after you upgrade the tavern, it replaces the minions with one of a higher tier. So traditionally, you would have to re-roll the set of minions you got from Bob.
Mhm.
I know, I love that name.
So, my
uh,
cat.
yeah, you would have to re-roll to get the new tier of heroes, or wait till the next turn. This will just automatically replace the minions with a higher
Mhm.
tier. This will be interesting because it changes kind of the core mechanic of how the game works, and I think it might throw a few players off at first because they'll have something they want to either freeze or buy, and then they'll
Mhm.
upgrade the tavern and be like, oh well, I lost that pick.
Yep.
uh, the other new hero, Maeve Shadowsong, she has the ability Imprison, which costs 1 and makes a minion in Bob's Tavern dormant. And after 2 turns, you get it with a +1/+1 on it. So this is similar to how the Demon Hunters work in the main game. They have a
Very
lot of
on
cards
brand.
that it's very on brand. Um, so yeah, that'll be an interesting choice to make. And then Kael'thas Sunstrider has the Verdant Spheres passive, where every third minion you buy gains +2/+2.
Yep. That's a game.
Yep, for sure. And those of you playing regular
Battleground?
Hearthstone, I guess I should say, uh, I definitely would recommend reading the patch notes on Zephyr's the Great, which is a
Mm.
very interesting card. If you've watched any competitive Hearthstone, you know how much that card can change the game. Basically, um,
People love it.
people love it and hate it because basically it gives you the best card for the situation that you're in. It reads the board state and
Oh.
is like, say the your opponent has all taunt minions, but they're down to 8 health. It would give you a pyroblast to
I have 8.
immediately kill their hero and win the game.
Oh,
Um, but there were a lot of bugs with it, so they fixed a lot of the issues with it, and it
yeah.
seems like they've made it a lot better. Um,
Mhm.
especially on these edge cases, like just as an example, it will offer polymorph instead of hex in cases where it would be better to give the opponent a 1/1 than a 0/1 with taunt. So
Okay.
yeah, no, I'm interested to see how that change does in the grand scheme of things. I don't really play that much regular Hearthstone. I do the battleground stuff, but yeah.
Yeah. And then it also had the discussion of deck ordering, because you even tested this before we even got on, is that in this next patch, you're going to be able to move your deck list. So if you have like your favorite mage deck, you could put that on the top of your list in game versus having to go through the I don't know, large list that you would have in your collection manager.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a rearranging mode. So if you want to like really organize your sets and like, oh, this is my favorite this week, you can definitely do that. It's like a quality of life change more than anything else. Nothing major for the game. But if you'd like to have an organized deck, there you go. End of season rewards. Does this make sense to you? Your total rewards accumulated within the current ranked season are now highlighted in green inside your rewards chest, which can be found at the top of the quest log.
Yes, because right now if you open it, it just, even if you've not earned it, it looks the same.
Oh,
So
now it's
it's
green.
like it's hard to tell what you've necessarily earned.
Now it's green.
Now it's highlighted.
Yep. I love me some highlighters. Yeah. I think we covered all the games,
We did
right?
cover all the games. Anything good in IRL loot?
Nothing.
Nothing.
There, I found no new items or sales or anything on like the typical sites I went to. Blizzard Gear Store. Only thing that's new is the new artwork that we talked about last week for Hearthstone and Here's the Storm. Um, let's see, and then Box Lunch Hot Topic, nothing new. Jinx, nothing new. Loungefly, nothing new. Um, yeah, it's only been a week. There's nothing new in production, which is fine. And I'm okay with that because we talked for a long, long time.
Hmm. But yeah, that was a lot. I think we're going to just end it there
Yeah,
because we talked a lot and caught you all
you
up
did.
on
Good job.
Blizzard news.
Yes.
Make sure to check us out on nexuspodcast.com for previous episodes. Hashtag Nexus Podcast to join the conversation. YouTube.com/TJ Tyrant for old video episodes.
Yeah.
In the Facebook
And
group,
it's fun.
search Nexus Podcast.
Yeah. And Jimmy is going to be streaming on the 18th of May.
Mm-hmm.
Join him there for St. Jude and throw some money at it because it's charity and it's awesome.
Yep,
Yeah.
definitely.
I need to go back onto Animal Crossing. I got stuff to do.
All right. Well, we'll end it there. This has been episode 17 of the Nexus Podcast, and we'll see you next time in the Nexus.
Next.